Okay, so this is the greatest painting ever made. When coronavirus and our new world of social distancing and not being able to make the journey to the next house or a gallery, let alone another country, I would urge you all sometime in your life to go to Madrid and stand in front of Las Meninas and look really, really hard at it. The longer one looks, the more the painting gives back and the more the questions arise from it. Las Meninas has been studied and analysed for centuries, and yet there's no settled meaning on what it's truly about or who the true subject of the painting is. For some, the painting is about the princess, Margarita Teresa. After all, she's at the centre of the composition. But for others, it's the lady in waiting, or the Meninas in Spanish, along with the chaperones and dwarfs that is the actual subject. Velázquez was fond of painting servants, highly unusual for a court painter at the time. It's plausible he'd found a way to feature daily life in the palace instead of another royal portrait. For others, the mirror at the back of the room is key. Logically, the mirror is reflecting the king and queen, Marina of Spain, in front of the crowd of people, and Velázquez is painting a large canvas in the painting. So is Las Meninas an experiment with composition, popular in Spain at the time in literature such as Don Quixote by Cervantes? Or is it about the increasing power and influence of the artist himself? The art historian Svetlana Alpes, for example, has spoken of how by prominently showing himself within the higher company of the Spanish royal court, Velázquez was claiming high status for both himself and his art. Or is it about the viewer? Is Velázquez theoretically painting us? The French philosopher Michel Foucault writes, "We are looking at a picture in which the painter is in turn looking out at us." When I stood in front of the painting in the Prado Museum in Madrid, I powerfully felt Velázquez's black eyes on me. Struth captures the aura of the painting in this photograph. It's rarely on its own. Over 3 days of studying it, I had it for myself for 1 minute only. But unlike seeing the Mona Lisa in the Louvre, standing in front of Las Meninas manages to be an intimate experience. It feels like you're able to converse with the painting somehow. So Las Meninas continues to provoke possibilities. A conundrum for artists is whether the art that they make is about their own intentions or whether it is for others to interpret. We cannot know what Velázquez's intentions for Las Meninas were, but it offers so many possibilities. And Las Meninas is a painting that many artists have used for the base for inspiration for their own creations. Perhaps most notably, Pablo Picasso made 58 variations of Las Meninas, which are all on show together in the Picasso Museum in Barcelona. This one is the one arguably closer to Velázquez's original, despite its landscape format. But he also did several paintings that focused on individual figures in the original painting, such as the Infanta princess. It could be argued that Picasso was taking on the painting as a form of competition as to who was the greatest Spanish or even just the greatest ever living painter, an honor he felt it was his. Or is Picasso having a dialogue with art of the past? He said, "To me, there is no past or future in art. If a work of art cannot live always in the present, it must not be considered art at all." An art historian, Elizabeth Carley, says that the fact that he found the 300-year painting so stimulating and provocative was proof of its timelessness. The relationship and dialogue between Picasso and Velázquez is something that the British artist Richard Hamilton used as subject. Here, Picasso replaces Velázquez. Paintings by Picasso are seen in the background, and the figures in the crowd take on Picasso's innovations in style from different periods of his career. Anthony Whitshaw has produced multiple versions, including this radical reimagining. Here we see as if from Velázquez's eyes, with his arm reaching out to the canvas and the middle of his hand with the brush, and then the canvas itself, the Infanta, possibly the first real subject that we looked at. Meanwhile, Philippe Comar was intrigued by Foucault's notion of the subject being the viewer, us. He constructed a model of Velázquez's studio space in the palace in Madrid where the painting is set. The work is viewed through 2 peepholes, one to see the king and queen, and one to see the viewer reflecting back on themselves. Yves Sussman has freed the painting from the frozen moment of the canvas, creating a videoed reenactment with costumed actors in the space, and the camera moves 360 degrees around the room, doing what the artist has called a fly on the wall of royal Spanish life. Art historian Daniel Arras reflected that many people's view is that enough has already been said about Las Meninas. Enough is definitely enough. It became the title of an exhibition that I curated of over 50 artists responding to Las Meninas. My belief is that artists have plenty more to say about the painting still. For example, Lucy Renton created this Baroque diorama where she transplanted the Spanish palace to an English country home, creating collage from the World of Interiors magazines, and she shifted the perspective right down to be that of the Infanta princess. Or Sarah Bennett wanted to draw attention to one particular maid of honor in the painting, Dona Isabella de Velázquez. So she used 2 magnifying glasses, a camera, and a magnification of a viewer finder for the viewer to look through, making the work of the painting and her own work all about looking. Whereas Manley said he chewed over Las Meninas, metaphorically and then actually. For David, the centre of his work was that curious mirror, and he covered it over with the chewed up postcard of Las Meninas, which he stuck to the front of the painting as if a mist. For Sahelia Sokumvani, Las Meninas is all about Velázquez towering over everyone, even the king and queen. In her work, Velázquez projects out from her sculpture. And for me too, this is the most powerful presence of the painting, the artist Velázquez himself. And maybe this is why I'm so much drawn to it. Thank you.